Congratulations, another trophy with Real Madrid. How do you sum up the game today?
It was a difficult game, but at the start they were so close behind, low block, and we had difficulty. But after we scored the first one, at the end of the first half, we had more control and deserved to win. We didn't take a risk. We didn't play a game with super intensity, but I think it was a good control.
Your team seems to know when to step in and get the ball at the right time. The anticipation, for example. Players look very uninterested and suddenly they're there. How do you gain that quality?
They are used to play together, they are comfortable, they know each other. And so for them it's much simple to play together, to find the right time of the game, to sometimes to have a low block, but we could use a counter-attack. They are so used to play together.
Your assistant coach and son, Davide, I saw swarming up and down the touchline every time there was a set piece. Can you just tell me about his role, and do you think he will go on to become a senior coach one day as well?
He is an assistant. Now for sure he will be a coach in the future. He's working a lot on the set pieces. He has more energy than me. That is normal.
Son works as his assistant. I mean, that's like the dream, isn't it?
Well, I mean, you got to be confident. Probably only Carlo Ancelotti can take his son probably in and be on his staff. But I think he obviously trusts him. He knows his stuff. He's probably been around football his whole life. And I don't think Carlo would bring him along if he wasn't doing an incredible job. And obviously, I think they tick every box, Real Madrid, right now. Obviously, not everybody's favourites. But I just think you can't underestimate that experience. We look at Man City and PSG. It's hard to win the Champions League. These guys have been and done it a lot. And I think that counts for a lot. In moments when you struggle and you suffer, these guys hang in there like they did against Liverpool, and then they hit you. And I think that is so important in this competition. The margins are so fine.
And you guys know how much I love talking about, like, creating winning cultures and stuff. If you take a look at the shots on the screen behind you, I mean, this is a team that won La Liga at Canto last season. They won the Champions League. They're all serial winners. And it would be so easy to go, well, it's the Super Cup, so let's just get on the plane, get home and get ready for the season. But there they are, 10 minutes, 20 minutes after the final whistle, still on the pitch, still taking photos on their phones, still enjoying it in front of the crowd. And, like, I just think it's such an important part of being a winning team, isn't it? Enjoying these moments.
Yeah, and they're all old enough and grizzled enough to know that success in football is fleeting and you have to enjoy these moments. You know, you win any trophy, savour it. Because to beat that team tonight, Frankfurt, when you're not really at your best, you're not really fit, you have to go through some, you know, and Casemiro covered so much ground, Modric, Kroos, all these players. You know, so enjoy it. And that's why the club's just set up for success. There's a conveyor belt of players coming through. They back it up. It's managed so well from a recruitment point of view, and they're just set up as a club for success. 17 wins in cup finals out the last 19 is an incredible stat.
And they're also getting set up for the future as well. We were just looking at the subs. They brought on a 19-year-old, a 21-year-old, a 22-year-old. The fact that the subs they brought on, including Rudiger, had an average age of 23. I mean, that's such good news for them.
Yeah, definitely. Again, they're planning at the time of success. Some say it might be easy to do that, but they're so calculating in the decisions and the progression. And transition is hard. We're seeing that in our domestic leagues, in certain teams, finding it hard to plan for the future and recruit the right personnel. And they seem to be doing that with exquisite perfection.
Look at him. What a player. Will we see Karim Benzema's name on the Ballon d'Or, do you think?
100%. I believe he deserves it.
Yeah.
You know, in any normal year, it would be absolutely nailed on. But, you know, we've got the World Cup, haven't we? I don't know when the award's going to be nominated for and planned, and that will sway a lot of people. But for me, in a normal year, he's absolute runaway leader. He's been outstanding.
Yeah, I think it's Benzema's. I mean, obviously, France are probably one of the favourites for the World Cup. He just continues to get better and better. At his age, to be performing as consistently great as he is remarkable. You know, they won the Champions League. They're favourites probably to win the World Cup. And he's surrounded by class players in every team that he plays in. So I'm with Joe and Jolie, and I think he'd win it. And they've got a pretty good goalkeeper in Courtois as well.
Here's a good stat for him. Two big European games, the Champions League final and this game. 14 shots faced, 14 shots saved. That's where you build a winning team from.
Yeah, and there's a few question marks when he first went there about his performances, his contribution. But yeah, the Champions League final in itself, rightly so, man of the match, outstanding performance. And like Joe said, they've got world-class players, and when they get to these competitions and these stages of competitions, they're able to enhance their performance and just produce moments. And even Benzema, I don't know who else can win the Champions League. I mean, the Ballon d'Or. I think it normally factors on the Champions League, and he contributed so much for Real Madrid.
Brilliant. I enjoyed that. So there we go. We've got one of the most legendary coaches, won this Super Cup more than anybody else, a team of brilliant young stars coming through, legends still playing for them, and yet all three of you have backed us on. Never won the Champions League to lift the trophy this season. But that's what we love about football. Like, you know, in all honesty, we just simply don't know, do we? What's going to lie in front of us for the next 9 months, apart from a season with a World Cup in the middle of it, which is going to be a real challenge for these teams, packing in the games between now and that winter break.
It might be, but I still think the two best teams are Liverpool and Manchester City. You know, you never underestimate the experience that these guys have, so they'll always be there. But I still think Manchester City and Liverpool are the best place to challenge and go and win it.
I can't wait. It just gets you excited for the new season, doesn't it?
Can't wait. It's going to be a great season. And again, like I said, we've got European football started off Real Madrid where they left off, winning games. We've got the World Cup crammed in the middle of it. We've got the Premier League to look forward to. I think the Premier League will be even closer this year. I think there'll be, Man City and Liverpool will be pushed. They will be nudged slightly more by the teams behind them. So it's exciting.
I'm the same. I think the Premier League will be closer. I think every team's got stronger. So the points tally, I don't think will be as high. But in terms of the Champions League, we talk about City being favourites and never won it. But if we look at the World Cup, we believe England are going to win it, and they haven't won it in so long, and there's more experienced teams in that competition. So why not?
So just to be clear, you're going for Man City for the Champions League and England for the World Cup?
Why not, Jake?
That is the kind of prediction that we like here on this show.
Possibly, yeah. I think more so because of what he did last season. That was remarkable, his contribution. But, yeah, in the greatest respect to Benzema, they've probably had more glamorous names in their starting 11 that have scored more goals. But in terms of their contribution, overall contribution to the team and to the club, they won't be many better.
He did a great interview in the last few days, just saying how important it was actually for Ronaldo to leave the club to allow him to flourish. And that's exactly what he's done. And we can have a look at his goal here. And we started the night by asking, can he deliver again this season? Well, it starts to look like maybe he will.
Yeah, I think the good players, the great players, rise to these occasions. You know, you think back the history of Real Madrid Zidane with that stunning goal against Leverkusen in the finals. Benzema, when they've ever needed him to have a big moment, him and Vinicius Jr. have produced. You know, he just sits in a little pocket of space there. It's just the awareness, the experience that he has at 34. Vinicius Jr. runs that channel beautifully. But look at Benzema just sitting in that little pocket space, Joe. Away from the centre-backs, away from the midfield.
It does look great from his point of view, but it's poor defending. Like, I don't know what the centre-halves are doing. Tuchel's obviously covering Vinicius there in terms of he goes 1v1, but DK needs to recognise that Benzema is pulling off. There's no one else in the box who he needs to be able to engage. He doesn't give himself the opportunity to engage. He also then blocks the keeper, who, in my opinion, should do better. So, yeah, Benzema, experience, understanding. He's not going to run in behind every time. But, yeah, the defending was poor.
Edging towards 35. How much of a risk is it not to go and buy someone as a backup for him this season? I mean, it was fine last season, no injuries, did really well. Is it a risk?
It's a slight risk. He hasn't had much of many injuries in his career, Benzema. You know, he's been fit. He's played hundreds and hundreds of games, over 600 games for Real Madrid. You know, there's only 8 players in history that have done that. I think in that what suits his game so well is he plays that false 9. He's often so difficult to pick up. When you're a clever player and you do that, how many of his goals, if we look back over the last season, were cutbacks in that position? And you're right, John, you're thinking to yourself, why isn't the centre-half not picking him up? But it's because he goes in there and his timing's so good. And then inadvertently, when he gets in that position, his technique's so good, he hits the target, he makes the goalie work all the time. I love watching him play. Him
and Vinicius as well, it just works, doesn't it?
Yeah, the balance they have, the understanding. Vinicius stretches teams, and then he obviously recognises that people have to double up on Vinicius because his capability of going past players, and then all of a sudden he finds himself in more space. And like Joe said, he's one-touch finishing. I think all the goals we showed before the game in terms of last season were all one-touch finishes inside the box.
Does Ancelotti look beyond him at the moment, or not? You just think about his age and you think, who can you possibly get that can come in and replace Benzema when the time comes?
Well, he's irreplaceable. But I think the thing about Benzema is he's not going to rely on his physicality because he's not, super powerful, super explosive. So I think he's going to age well. You know, he's not going to worry about making these big runs. You know, he's always been a smart player. You know, so I think in that sense, I think he probably still has a couple years at the top level. He doesn't look like he's slowing down. Modric doesn't look like he's slowing down. But to go to your point about replacing, I don't think you can. They've tried to replace the midfield or plan for the next phase with Camavinga, obviously, and obviously Tukumania, who they've signed. Valverde, you know, they've got some fabulous players. But at the top of the pitch is where you need to replace it. I think Benzema, obviously they try with Mbappe. Yeah. He's going to be hard to replace because, like for like, there isn't another one out there.
And the thing is, you know, all these veteran goal scorers, Benzema, Lewandowski, Ronaldo, Zlatan, you know, they're all in their mid to late 30s. Like, and then you've got Mbappe and Haaland. There's not much in between. Apart from Harry Kane that jumps off the page, who's coming into his prime, how can you replace Benzema? Unless you're getting Mbappe, which they tried and it didn't work. I think Carlo's probably gone, right, we didn't get Mbappe, we'll try and go again in the summer. We'll test PSG's resolve again, because if you're going to get someone to play that role of second fiddle to Benzema, it has to be a very specific player, a young player who's happy to play second fiddle, but can also play to the left of him and the right of him, so he's going to get the games. So it's a hard bit of recruitment they've got to do there.
OK, well, let's have a look at the opening goal as well. We're going to go back, by the way, for the trophy presentation before too long, as soon as they start to do that. But this is the opening goal, and it's just the perfect start to the season for a Real Madrid team. Another result that just breeds that feeling of we're a team that wins.
Yeah, look, and, you know, set pieces often decide these big games. Casemiro just, you know, wins that header there. Obviously, Alaba's in a little pocket of space. Frankfurt don't sort the marker now, as Joe highlighted. And again, we spoke about before the game, you know, the little things, the fine things in these games often decide them, you know, and that was the same tonight. You know, once they get a goal ahead, you're not going to beat Real Madrid. And that goal from the corner changed it.
So Casemiro gets the assist there. I'm interested to hear from all of you, actually, about Tukumania coming into this team and just applying a gentle little bit of pressure, really. And you need that in these top teams. Can Casemiro respond, I suppose?
Yeah, I don't think he needs to respond in terms of upping his performance, just continue to do what he's doing. I don't think this performance tonight, which was outstanding, is inspired in regards to many coming in and taking his place. I think this is what he does for the team. As a centre-back, definitely want to play behind him because he enjoys the ugly side of the game. He's so aware of the defensive responsibility, but he has capabilities here to go and step in and create opportunities to play forward.
He's got lovely defensive instincts. He's what you call a what-if player. He's always in a position where if the teammate, what if he loses the ball? What if the runner gets beyond him? You know, but he has got capabilities. You know, he's a typical Brazilian when he has the ball at his feet, but when he hasn't got the ball at his feet, he's as good as a holding midfielder as we've seen in many, many years. I mean, he was outstanding tonight. And we often, the eyes are drawn to Kroos or Modric in that position because of their technical ability and their flair. But this guy's just as important for the team, and he's an outstanding player. And I think bringing in Tukumania and Camavinga, I think what we talked about, who's going to replace Benzema, and they have to have a long-term plan. They've got their long-term plan already at the club in them two players, and they've got the luxury of being able to just bed them in slowly over the years while Kroos and Modric get old and Casemiro slows down.
And just learn from him, just understand it. Obviously, yeah, they're there to push him, but they're also there to learn from him to play for Real Madrid for so long.
I don't think you can win the Champions League without a player like that. I think you need that guy. I think everybody tries to make football like fantasy football and get all these number 10s out there and make it perfect. Football's not perfect. You know, Casemiro's the one who sets that first goal up with a little flick. He's just good awareness. I think in crucial moments, he's there. He's protecting the back four. You know, you look at Liverpool. You know, Fabinho went in there and made a huge difference, helped them to go and win the Champions League. You look at, you know, the role that Kante's played on some of the decisive teams for France and for Leicester and for Chelsea. That guy glues it all together. You need them, and also to protect the team and then get it to the flair guys. So I think a guy like Casemiro, as good as Tukumania is going to be, and he's 19 and what do you cost, 80 million? Yeah. You know, he's going to play eventually. But Casemiro still, you know, he showed tonight he was best player on the pitch. He's got a lot of football left in him.
We can see behind you, look, the disappointed Frankfurt players. For them, this is all about progression, right? You know, the fact they're up against Real Madrid, not being embarrassed this evening. They're in the Champions League, first time taking part in the group stages. It's just about forward momentum at this football club and the great job that their manager has done, actually.
I mean, Oliver Glasner's done an amazing job. You know, winning the Europa League, I thought they played tremendous in European competition. I thought they did well tonight. They had moments in the game. They had enough of the ball. 40% possession against Real is a lot. So I think they can be super proud. Came up against a better team and lost. You get moments, you got to take them. They didn't do that, but Frankfurt have built something incredibly special. You know, the last 10 years ago, you know, I think they were in the second division. You know, so to be in the game against Real Madrid on this occasion, credit to the club, the recruitment, the coach and all the players and the fans, as Joe mentioned before the game.
And you saw the trophy out there. That will be just the 24th trophy that Carlo Ancelotti's managed to pick up.
It's crazy. You're talking about trophies and performances, and you've all played in finals and stuff. You never remember the performance when you win. You try to dwell on it when you lose and analyse it, but yeah, you just get to finals and you have a habit of winning. It's a unique trait.
And as much as having that habit of winning is good for the team, it's horrendous for the opposition when you see who you're up against, isn't it?
No, I mean, it must, like I said, we talked before the game and we said, right, we know what Real Madrid are going to do. They're going to hit you on the break. It's going to be Vinicius down the left. You've got to deal with that. And Benzema, you've got to pick him up in the box. You know, we're not football specialists. Everybody who knows football can watch Real Madrid and see that. But every team that plays against them gets caught with the same trick. It's impossible to stop. Vinicius' movement's so good. Benzema's so clinical. You know, from Frankfurt's perspective, they've known that's how good Real Madrid were. They've known what to expect. Real Madrid did what they do and they got the job done.